Welcome back to the Stodgify podcast. Before we start today, there is an important message that I'd like to bring out to you all. So all medical and health discussions on this podcast are for educational purposes only. Please consult with your GP before making any type of diet or nutritional changes in your life or any medications. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy. You jumped in the ice bath this morning too. I saw. My God.
I did.
How was that?
I wasn't going to.
Yeah.
But it's a great way to start the day. Especially today, I feel like I need my brain to be switched on. So, I jump in, jump out, and then I do my exercises. I jump and jump and jump and promote circulation that way.
Yeah.
From the cold to the hot.
Yeah. And how long have you been doing that for?
Since probably about 4 months or so.
Yeah, okay. What brought that on?
Interesting. So basically, it's really great. Ice baths are really great to help mentally and physically.
Yes.
So I was going through a little bit of something last year and I really needed to switch gears.
Yeah.
In my mind, I really needed to change the way that I thought, my thinking patterns, because it's important when you want to make changes in your life.
Yeah.
You need to make that mental switch. And I was reading a book at the time called Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. Highly recommend it. It's a really great book to read. I've told about 10 people to read it so far, including my clients. And, Maxwell Maltz, Cybernetics. It's all about looking at your brain as a type of computer. And it's basically how we program our computer. What we tell ourselves is possible, what we tell ourselves is not possible.
That's true.
That's basically how we allow ourselves to live. And so a lot of people are stuck in the I can't do.
Yeah, I was in that.
And so many people go through that. Yeah.
I was in that story for a lot of stuff, and this is not nutrition-based, but it's still life-based. And I was stuck in that story for a long time until I finally started saying, no, I want something different for myself. And eventually when you say that the first time, if you open yourself up, you'll start to see little things here popping in and around and coming to you. And there's always opportunities.
Always. And, the greatest, some of the greatest minds out there, even a lot of successful people like, Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of clients who are entrepreneurs, shakers in this world. And they do it. They start their day with ice baths. And, Gary Brecker.
Joe Rogan.
Exactly.
I don't know.
A lot of these guys who are out there influencing in the world at the moment, they're advocates for it. And that's not why they basically made me aware of it. And then I started to delve into it, like studying about it more. And then, I needed to make that mindset shift. And what better way than to step out of your comfort zone?
Yeah, it is.
And that's essentially what it is from a mental perspective. You're stepping out of your comfort zone. You're doing something that you don't want to do. It's not pleasant. You jump into a tub of ice.
Yeah.
It's cold.
Yeah. And
that's the way I start my day.
Oh, my goodness.
And it puts you in that mindset frame that, you know what, get uncomfortable today. Do what you have to do to succeed, to get to where you want to with your goals, for example. And then physically, putting your body into those cold temperatures helps to accelerate circulation.
Yeah.
So it constricts your blood vessels, and then you get out and you do a lot of those exercises. As I was saying, I do a lot of jumps, sort of imitating what it's like to jump on a rebounder, a little trampoline. And then I do my deep breathing exercises. And then I've got my morning sun, which is the best time to get your sunshine and your vitamin Ds in the morning.
Yes.
So it's a combination of things to heat up the body, and then that promotes circulation, and it actually helps with the health of your mitochondria.
Yes, which is that's your building blocks.
It's the energy of your cells. Yeah, we might want to speak about that later, because those pods that I gave you, they can help from a gut perspective, help to boost your mitochondrial function as well.
Yeah, fantastic. That's amazing. And look, talking about comfort zone, my biggest comfort zone is food.
Yeah.
Okay. But maybe it's not working for me anymore, the way that I go about this and building these beliefs about myself. So talking about comfort zone and ice baths, now we'll bring it back to nutrition,
yes,
which is sort of one of the biggest reasons for, I guess, poor health and poor eating habits and stuff is the beliefs that we teach ourselves, or the stories that we build up, and then all the going through and training ourselves to eat. For example, for me, if I'm feeling stressed, I want to go eat sugar, I want to eat something carby. And it's not helping me anymore. It's not good because I'm in a high-functioning job that requires my brain to be always on point. And when I go down that path and I have, like, if I have a high-carby lunch or if I have too many sugar snacks, I might be on a high for about a minute or two, 5 minutes, and then I crash severely afterwards. I can't even think.
Yes.
And my body's going through a time now, for the last couple of years actually, I've noticed that it's not optimum. It's not. When I was younger, I was able to shed the kilos. I was healthier. I went through a period where I could lose weight extremely fast, just through high intensity cardio and eating. I didn't even know too much about the good oils and this and that and seed oils, and I was just eating good food at the time, as so I thought, and I was fantastic. But then I tried to do that recently again, maybe a couple of years ago, and I've always been trying to, but there's something holding me back. Something's not working, and I really believe it's down to just the foods and maybe just the way that my body's breaking it down. That's what I think.
Yeah, interesting. And I see this very commonly in clinical practice when I see clients. A lot of emotional eating.
Yes.
And, that's where within a holistic clinical practice, looking at the body holistically, it's a mind, body, soul connection, and I look at the person as a whole. So what sort of mental influences are affecting your food choices, even like soul, looking at, maybe a trauma that could have happened in your life, for example, or in that moment. Are you reacting? Are you turning to foods, for example, when you're going through a stressful instance in your life?
That's the first thing that my mind goes to.
Yeah.
If there's something stressful, or if I'm at work, if I'm under fluorescent lights, I just want to go eat something. Something's missing. But when I'm outside, let's say on the weekends I'm outside, I don't have to eat till 1 or 2 o'clock.
Interesting. And you attribute that to fluorescent lights?
Well, being inside that atmosphere, being inside the atmosphere, closed, it's air conditioned, fluorescent lights above me, staring at a screen, it's not natural.
And do you get much sunlight during the day?
Yeah, we try to go outside.
Yeah.
Like we're free range engineers in our job. We try to go outside and go into the pastures.
Sure.
I'm outside a couple hours a day. On the days where I'm outside for half a day and it's nice and sunny, I feel amazing. I feel much better.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I go to a point where if I'm out there for too long, too much sunlight, I start to, maybe I'm getting dehydrated. So if I'm dehydrated, then I'm trying to look for carby foods. So it's all about, I'm at that point where I'm understanding something's not right and I'm looking for the wrong things and what's attributing these factors to me.
Interesting. And generally, what would your sleep habits be like?
I go to bed. I feel like we're doing a session right now. I like this.
It feels like it.
My sleep's pretty good. Touch wood, knock on wood. Not the last couple of nights with Mercury retrograde. It's difficult to go to sleep. But I'm usually in bed about 8, 9 o'clock, and I wake up at 4:30.
All right. Yeah. So you're getting some good decent hours of sleep. When you're getting up though, 4:30. Do you have access to that morning sun?
No, there's nothing. It's dark. It's dark. I don't have that.
Yeah. So when you're talking about, craving sugars and lots of tending to choose more carbohydrate-rich foods, what that tells me is perhaps, again, without doing a blood test and having a look at, all the other markers within your body, but generally what that can indicate is insulin imbalances.
I have high cortisol. I've had it most of my life.
Yes.
Yeah, I did a endocrinological test when I was younger. I can't remember why. And the guy goes to me, your markers are crazy. Like, are you always stressed? I'm like, I think that's my baseline, is to just be anxious. Yeah.
Okay. And then automatically, I would love to check your genetics. Because
we might have to do that.
Yeah, I think that'd be really worthwhile for you to investigate more into your genetics, even gut microbiome. But yeah, going back to what I can see, it's a very typical insulin picture. And so, and this is very common. And it comes back to, one, how we're sleeping. Sounds like you're sleeping well, but you're sort of outside of the circadian rhythm, which is basically our body clock. So it's generally good to go to sleep, when, at around 10, 9, 10?
When I'm on holidays or I've got like a whole week off,
Yeah.
I naturally will start to come to a point of going to sleep at 10, 11. So slowly I come to that point. So my body likes to go to bed. If I'm working and I'm tired, I'll go to bed at 9 o'clock. I'm exhausted. But when I'm on holidays and even if I'm working at home, so not my day job, so I'm doing other things, and I don't have to get up early in the morning, then naturally I like to go to bed about 10, 11, and I like to wake up at around the range of 6 o'clock, 6:30, 7, around there. So this waking up at 4:30 business it's sort of not my favourite thing to do in the world.
Yeah, and that can definitely influence, the way that your body clock is working. Right. And essentially when we're sort of outside of the body clock, we can crave more carbohydrate-rich foods. Generally when we're high cortisol as well, so cortisol being the stress hormone. If you're highly stressed at your job or, whatever instance is creating stress for you chronically or consistently, then you will have elevated levels of cortisol. If you have elevated levels of cortisol for long enough, you can actually deplete your cortisol, and that's when it turns into something like burnout, adrenal depletion, which is quite common in a lot of executives that I see, a lot of people who work, more than the norm, so, excessively more than 10 hours, 12 hours a day. And then they come home and they've got kids and they've got other responsibilities, and it's just, so I see this very, very commonly, and it's becoming more of a common thing today amongst both men and women. And unfortunately, because we're living in a convenience society, we're tired, we've spent a lot of our energy at work. We come home, the last thing we want to do, the last thing we want to do is spend time on a really good hearty meal, creating a good hearty meal. So many people turn to something that's easy, convenient, and usually it's not the healthiest food options. Uber Eats.
Some of these younger people live off Uber Eats. I can't believe it. Just every meal, oh my goodness, that's going to catch up with you one day.
It will. And because, the system in which we live is sort of pushing us more towards convenience, wanting things done really quickly. We're seeing this a lot in people's health today.
So at the moment, I haven't won the lottery. This podcast hasn't taken off. I'm not into 8 figures. I'm not a multimillionaire yet, so I can't retire. So I still have to go to my job. And at the moment, it's working these hours and getting to work at an earlier time, unless I can camp outside and sleep on site and then just wake up at 6 o'clock and then go on there. I can't do that.
Yeah.
So what can people do to sort of, if that's the environment that we're within, what can we do to help to optimize?
Yeah, great question. And essentially it's working with you as the individual. And so basically that's what I do. So I actually speak with you as the individual. I try to figure out, what your lifestyle is like and how we can basically healthify your option to optimize your health.
Yeah, okay.
And so in cases like yours, I would look at what you're currently eating, because, how we're nourishing our bodies, what we're putting into our mouths eventually manifests in either health or disease. So because of your lifestyle, are you, for example, because of you're not getting enough sunshine, are you eating enough foods that can give you energy, produce energy in your body? And these are foods that, for example, are rich in vitamin B12, your B vitamins, your vitamin C, vitamin D, because you're not getting enough of that sunshine, for example. And so I also do a lot of testing. So if you were to come to me with these issues, I would automatically test your bloods to see how your liver function is, because sometimes when you are high in cortisol and you're constantly stressed, it can compromise our liver function.
I have a fatty liver from the last blood test that I had. Yeah, and very borderline testosterone results.
Sure.
So how they got the scales? And by the way, I want to make it known, we haven't said this, but Deena's a nutritionist. She's certified. Also, I will be going to speak to my GP if I do go to make any changes or anything like that. I just want to make sure that everyone understands that. But when I did my last when I did my last blood test with my GP, I just wanted to get all my bloods done. I had extremely high vitamin D. He goes, "This is crazy. I've never seen like."
And do you supplement with vitamin D?
Yes, I was supplementing because I broke my ankle just before that. So I was taking a lot of vitamin D3 and K2. And he goes, what are you taking? Like usually we don't absorb as much D3 from the supplements. So my gut health, so I was really high on the, what was it? The word's escaping me now. So your bone broth, a lot of collagen.
Yes.
A lot of vitamin D3, K2, a lot of zinc. I was just going really hard on the supplements and really really being careful on what I was putting in my body, so I could optimize making sure that my bones were going to heal properly. So that was really good. And I did a blood test maybe about 3-4 months after I started walking again. So that was still high in my system, but I had a fatty liver. My cholesterol was high. Okay, but the thing is, my testosterone was on, so in your scales, the testosterone was in the normal range, but on the lower end. So if you're 8 and 12, if that's your range, mine was on 8 or 8.1. So it's right on the bottom.
Okay.
So I'm like, how do I change that? He couldn't really give me many answers or anything. We haven't had that session, but it's sort of like testosterone is a very big thing that a lot of people are talking about as well. And how do we optimize that as well?
True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. Interestingly, so testosterone actually needs things like vitamin D and testosterone are made from cholesterol.
Okay.
And so vitamin D is actually a hormone. And so it's really interesting that you have elevated levels of vitamin D and low levels of testosterone.
Yes.
Now, within the conversion of the body, and you're not getting enough sunshine, potentially.
Yeah.
You're under a lot of the fluorescent lights.
How much is a good amount of sunshine?
I'd say at least someone with your skin tone, at least 20 minutes a day, either in the morning, early morning, or during midday.
And how much on my body? Like obviously we have to wear long. So basically working in construction, long sleeve shirts, everything's 50 SPF. Okay. Sunglasses, helmets.
Well, there you go.
Long pants.
You really need to expose your skin. This is why a lot of the hippies, the more skin exposure, the better.
Yeah,
so I have a friend who's always telling me you have to walk around naked to get the best
if I
vitamin
did
D exposure.
I'd get arrested.
I'd get arrested.
Yeah.
No, I'm not advocating for that.
Public nuisance.
At least, and this is what I tell my clients as well. So roll your sleeves up if you're wearing a long shirt. If you're a lady, you can pull your skirt up just to above the knees. Yep. If you're out to lunch, for example, instead of sitting inside having your lunch in the office, go outside, make that time to have your lunch.
There are ways, especially at lunchtime. 20 minutes we can take, because I eat lunch at my desk.
Okay, so that's not the best for mindful eating either, to help you with digestion, and you're missing out on the essential sunshine.
I can imagine
as well.
If my project manager watches this, he's going to be saying, "Just shut up and you're not leaving your desk, man. What is this? We're going to change."
Yeah. No, the nutritionist said so.
Yes. So, okay. So you know what? I've got those blood results.
Yes.
You read blood results so we'll get into your credentials as well and what you've done, because that's important, and I want to know more about you there. So I really feel like we'll book a session when I come back from Thailand. I'm going to go to Thailand on Monday.
Awesome.
So I've got my previous bloods, and I've got another message that I can go do some more bloods. I'll do them when I come back.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'll book in a session with you, and we can go through and we can see what's going on, so you can read them for me and let me know.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Because, going back to what you were mentioning, so it's the liver and the kidneys that can actually process vitamin D and cholesterol into their active form. So, for example, having enough sunshine in your life, as one example, can help to convert cholesterol into testosterone as well. So, and then, so there's clearly a link. So I'd need to look at your test results to see, essentially, you've got a lot of things happening. So you've got the liver issue, so it's not functioning as effectively as it should. You've got elevated D and low testosterone, and these can all be linked together in a picture. Yeah,
we'll go through that, and then we'll take that offline, so not everyone's going to know about my my blood results there.
Yeah, good idea.
But I think that's important because I'm getting to a point now where, all right, we're setting goals. I'm setting goals in my life. What do I want to do? All right, I want this to take off. I want to be very successful. I've bought a house. I've got a house there. I want to start a family. I've got all these goals there. But if I look at one thing that I've been trying to do my whole life, not my whole life, but one goal that stayed with me the most, it is my weight and my overall happiness with how I feel on the inside in relation to, now let's say, I think it's unhealthy to say I want to be skinny so the way it looks. No, I want to be healthy, and I'm not healthy right now. I can feel it. You can just look at like how much extra kilos I'm carrying on my body. It's like, I don't need that. It's not going to be winter for the next 50 years. I don't need that. So one thing that I've been battling with for majority is that. So I want to overcome that. So I think this will be very good for that.
Most definitely. And there are ways that we can help with people with losing weight. One of the key things that I see very, very often is insulin resistance.
Yeah, okay.
And that's becoming more and more prevalent today, especially because of our diets and lifestyles. So insulin, basically it's a type of hormone that basically sends a message across through to the body to hold on to your weight. So when insulin is predominantly high within the blood, and usually we have high insulin when we eat lots of sugar and carbohydrate types of foods, for example, because insulin is the protein, is the hormone that goes out. It is a hormone. It goes out, grabs onto the sugar and takes it into the cells where it should be, liver, muscle, and anything extra is turned into fat. And so people who eat a lot of sugary foods, carbohydrate-rich foods, a lot of starches, tend to gain more fat deposits in the body. And then when you're not, helping the insulin levels to sort of be more balanced through exercise. Exercise is a really great way to help with insulin balance, and most importantly, diet. Yeah, we see it's becoming sort of like an epidemic now. We see this epidemic of obesity increase throughout the Western world specifically.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. And so what I mentioned, that combination of reducing insulin, and we do that through one of the ways that I love to recommend is a more high protein, moderate fat diet, and really trying to cut back on more of the starchy types of carbohydrate foods. Now, carbohydrates are needed in moderation, but it's a matter of choosing the right types of carbohydrates.
So then I was going to say carbohydrates are needed. So then you look at your diet, such as your keto diet has no carbohydrates. Paleo doesn't have.
No, it does.
It has some carbohydrates. It doesn't have. I don't even know what. You can let us know.
Yeah.
Carnivore has no carbohydrates.
Yes.
So there's all these diets out there, and it's sort of like, well, I guess the answer is, what's the best way to know which one is for you? It'll be to see someone like yourself. But for example, what are the benefits? Like some people, I jumped on carnivore for 30 days. Okay. And I felt amazing. I truly felt amazing. But then it's sort of like, ooh, it's very hard on the gut as well, which I found for myself. And I had to start going down the path of having some fruit and vegetables. Yes. And that really offset a lot of the stomach pain and things that I was getting. Okay. And I started feeling better. So what I actually think was the best thing about jumping on the carnivore for me was no sugar. Like having no processed sugar, no simple sugars.
And when you said you felt amazing, what were the types of
I had energy. I had energy. But it's difficult because it's expensive. All right, to get grass-fed, grass-finished beef and all your other animals out there, and there are butchers out there that do that, and I personally recommend people to go ask for that.
Absolutely.
GMO-free, organic as much as you can.
Yes.
But the thing is, it's expensive, and I've got a wog mother at home, sort of like She's cooking minestrone soups, this and that, and breads. And come on, Daniel, what are you doing? You should be eating this as well. You have bloody this. I was like, oh my God, it's so difficult. I'm so torn.
Yeah.
So the thing I actually think was the best thing for me about that was no sugar, no chocolate. I just cut out chocolate bars. The thing that really screwed me up when I started in this industry, when I first started working 6.5 years ago, was when I did my medical, I was 89 kilos.
Okay.
Then through, I guess, the process of working, I'm not going to attribute this to work, but just my own internal processes, I went up to 120. That's a big jump.
Over what period of time?
6 years.
Okay.
I did get stronger because now that I'm living in my own place, I'm chopping wood, cutting wood, I'm building things, and I feel a lot stronger. You can't tell by my physique, by this lovely jumper that I've got here, but I gained quite a bit of muscle. Then I'm a lot stronger, but I can't fit into my old clothes. So I put a lot of fat on. I put an extreme amount of fat on. Okay. So the thing is, when I attribute it's like eating a lot of processed food because it was so easy, and because I was stressed every single day, my default is going to overthinking, anxiety, all that type of stuff. So what I'm craving then starchy foods, and that's my default for most of my life, and sugary drinks. Through that, I was always eating that. On the way home, I'd be snacking on these things. I'd sometimes stop at Red Rooster. I'd be doing this. I'd be doing that. I'd be eating. They'd bring, for whatever reason. And if any of these suppliers that come to our job sites to give us stuff and give us gummy bears and snakes and sugary treats, can you stop it, please? Just bring us an apple, yeah? I'm talking to you guys. Like, honestly, don't bring us fucking cookies. Bring us something good,
See, Daniel, but that's the thing. So these are the foods that create that addiction.
Yes.
So there's that part of the brain that they've stimulated with things like cocaine, for example. Sugar does the exact same thing.
I've never taken cocaine in my life, but
Neither
I've had
have
a lot
I.
of sugar. I've had a lot of sugar.
Yeah. And so interesting. So the same mechanism of action within the brain that creates that high, that rush, that addictive effect is caused by sugar. And, you're an adult, but just imagine the things that they give to children these days. And we see this increasing epidemic almost of ADHD and autism spectrum disorder.
Okay.
So we see it's our foods and the foods that they're giving our kids today, again, out of convenience, have a major effect on, what we're seeing in the world today in regards to health and disease.
One of the foremen that I was talking to years ago, he was telling me he'd give his, I think he'd give his son Cheezels. Oh. And he said he'd see his eyes just starting to turn the back of his head and just like, oh my God.
Yeah, and that's pretty much from all of the additives.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look, and a really great, just a very basic understanding that people should have about nutrition is when you look at the package of the food, if there's more than, 8 ingredients on there at least, the more minimal the ingredients, the better. And now you're looking
at the coconut water. I'm not don't worry about the branding.
Hopefully there's just one ingredient there, coconut water.
100% pure natural coconut water. There was one at work.
That's what we like.
There was
a
coconut water at work.
Yes.
And it says GMO free on there, what we like. But there was one at work that the guy goes to me at the vending machine, goes, "Oh, would you like a drink?" So we usually get Red Bulls, but that's...
Yeah, no.
So I said, "Give us a coconut water." And he gave it to me and I looked at it and it had preservatives and additives in it. I said, "Yeah, no, thank you. I don't want that. I don't really want to do this stuff anymore and have I don't even know what these are and my body doesn't need it."
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and so the need is there. The need for changing our diets is obviously there. And we have these great gurus, as you mentioned, who will come up with these almost extreme type of diets.
Yeah, okay.
Things like the carnivore diet, as you mentioned, keto, paleo. Now, I myself have been more on the paleo type of diet for the last 10 years.
Okay.
That works well for me.
Yeah.
And when I see lots of cases of autoimmune disease, which is one of the areas that I specialise in, paleo tends to work really well. In general, again, I look at the individual, but in general, paleo seems to work a lot. It works well for a lot of the clients who I see. Now, you were speaking of carnivore, and basically for those that don't know, the carnivore diet is, the premise of it all is basically eating just animal foods, as you mentioned, top quality, grass-fed, grass-finished, pasture-raised, even eggs, high-fat dairy, creams, these sorts of foods, to basically starve the body of sugar. The world is eating so much sugar, so why don't we go to the opposite extreme and deprive the body of all sugar?
Okay.
In the hope that it will. It's supposed to help to boost, testosterone. They say it's supposed to help with reducing weight, and that it does. Was that your experience?
Yes. Zero bloating. I had no bloating.
Yeah.
Okay. I dropped a couple of kilos, but obviously that's going to be attributed to water as well. But overall, I felt fantastic, but I did it for 30 days. Okay. So I did feel much better, and I did look trimmer, but
yes.
we could say, oh, that's bloating, that's excess water, which is fine. But overall, I did feel so much better, but I found it difficult. And I needed to have, because I was getting stomach pain, I had to get fruit and veg in there. Once I did that, I felt much better.
Yeah.
Once I had, sometimes we'd make some pasta at home. Mum would make pasta. I'd have a little bit of that. I was actually starting to feel much better. I was feeling calmer. Like my body, it's like interesting. My body wanted that. So I don't know if my mind wanted that or what's going on there, but my body felt like it wanted that, and I felt better. But then I'd start to go down the path of having it too much.
Yes.
Okay, so now I think I'm a really broken horse here. Like, we might need to put me down. I don't know. Is there any saving me, Deena? Is there any saving me?
There is. There's always hope. There's always hope.
Right,
yeah. But yeah, so it's interesting. So the side effects that you experienced from that. So the first 30 days of the carnivore diet, you say you felt amazing, but after that, you started to feel I was feeling pain and whatnot. Probably about 2 weeks in.
Okay. And then I kept on going through, and then I started to introduce a bit of fruit. So it wasn't full 30 days, there was a bit of fruit in there, but it was just no sugar. I had no processed sugars whatsoever, and no bread, no hot chips, potatoes. I just left all that on the side. Yeah.
And yeah, what's interesting is the guy who was the major advocate for that, his name was Dr. Paul Saladino.
Yes.
Quite ironic because he's got salad in his name, Saladino, but he refuses to eat it.
That's interesting. I like that, yeah.
But yeah, Paul Saladino was on the carnivore diet for 5 years, and he was the major advocate in the world for it. And interestingly, very recently, he's actually stopped the carnivore way of eating, and he's incorporated more fruits into his diet. He actually said that it reduced his testosterone, interestingly. And he also experienced gut issues because of it. And the reason being, now this, let me just say this for the record, this carnivore diet is actually not scientifically and clinically researched.
Okay.
There's no clinical backup for this diet. So me as a professional, I actually can't recommend it for anyone.
That's fine.
Because of the lack of clinical evidence to support its, whatever it's said to do. Now, having said that, so this doctor who was a very popular biohacker, he's a functional medical doctor.
I love these videos. I was watching them all the time on YouTube. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, he has a lot of knowledge. He's a wealth of knowledge. I listen to a lot of his podcasts as well. But his most recent one was all about how the carnivore diet didn't work for him. And basically it can be used, he was saying that it can be used as a tool temporarily to help you attain that weight loss that you're after, for example.
Yes, it's true.
But long term, it's not a way to sustain your body and your health, because the body actually does need fiber. Specifically, the gut needs fiber.
Okay.
And so fiber contributes to, it helps to basically feed our good bacteria in our gut.
Yes.
Polyphenols, which we have in lots of pigmented fruits and vegetables, lots of berries.
What do they do for you?
Polyphenols are extremely good to help boost your gut microbiome.
Yep.
Specifically, a strain called Akkermansia. They help to boost your short-chain fatty acids. Short-chain fatty acids within your gut, they actually help to prevent inflammation in your gut.
Okay.
They help to, and it also helps to create that diversity. in your gut microbiome. And basically, again, this is something that I always discuss with people who see me for gut health issues. I basically do run gut microbiome tests, and it helps me to understand what their gut diversity is like within their microbiome. The more diverse your gut microbiome, the healthier the gut. That's the optimal gut environment that we like to see.
Okay.
And the gut being the center of health, as, you know, my hero Hippocrates said, you know, all disease begins in the gut.
Yeah, okay.
And he also said, you know, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. These are my two mantras that I live by in my clinical practice. So, yeah, all disease can essentially start from an unhealthy gut.
Okay.
And so your experiences of depriving yourself of healthy fibers in your diet, you know, eventually it would lead to gut issues that you were experiencing. So you did the right thing in incorporating some fibrous foods into your diet.
I listen to my body as much as I'm very self-aware, and I notice when sometimes I'll be really craving something, and when I'm extremely emotional or stressed, and I go for those fatty foods or the starchy foods or whatever, it's like I can tell that's not good. Or if I want like a sugary drink, sometimes if I really want a Coca-Cola, for example, all right. Now I'm starting to say, well, if I look back, I'm like, I was actually dehydrated. And then I think to myself, so actually a lot of the things, if I'm out in the sun for a while, I don't like being out in the sun for too long. That's just who I am. I'll go out. If it's too hot, I like to stay under shade, get under sun a little bit, but then I like to go have a break. That's just how I am.
Yeah.
And I find that maybe potentially I'm quite dehydrated, so I put a lot of salts and stuff in my water. And if I stop doing that, because I'm someone, I'm funny, okay? I'm funny. I'll go down the path of, well, let's do this. And then a week later, not doing it anymore.
Okay.
You know, so it loses traction, whether my body's telling me, you shouldn't be doing that, or my attention goes somewhere else. I find that funny. So I'll go down the path of doing a lot of magnesium, and then I'll stop and just,
And that's very common, you know, but consistency is ultimately the key, especially when you're trying to go down the natural route of healing. So again, our modern system has created this, you know, instant fix syndrome within us all. You know, we want everything to be fixed instantly, and that's, you know, a pill for an ill. That's another thing that we turn to today. So the medical system has created this pill for an ill, and so we, you know, when we go down the natural route and we want to attain this health and optimize our health as much as we can, it's, you know, we need to, again, make that transition within our mind, retrain our mind, rewire our mind to say, you know what, I want to attain this health goal. I want more energy. Magnesium is definitely one of the most essential nutrients that I think everyone in Australia, everyone in the world, in the Western world, should be including magnesium into their diets, and making it a consistent effort. You know, we won't put a big enough dent into our health goals when we're only, you know, doing it for 2 days and then forgetting about it for 10. Or usually, this is what I see very often, it's when people start to feel symptoms and then they'll give me a call and say, I'm not feeling the best, I'm going through this and this and that. And I'm like, did you take the supplements that I recommended and the dietary advice that I gave you? Yeah, I did for the first week, and, you know, I couldn't really continue with it. It was just too hard. And so, I guess as with everything in life, you know, going back to our initial conversation about, you know, why I jump into the ice bath every morning, it's to sort of put you into that frame of mind that, if you're wanting to attain success with your health goals, for example, or anything in life, we need to be consistent in the steps it takes to get there. And with nutrition, it means, you know what, you know, a Big Mac would taste a lot nicer, but
I feel like death after.
But, you know, choosing a healthy meal with beautiful whole food nutrition, you know, my meat, my beautiful vegetables, and my healthy fats on my plate, that's going to give me all the nutrition that I need.
Healthy fats is something that I want to get into. So And by the way, some of your Instagram posts that you're putting up there and you're cooking these foods, my God, I just feel like crying when I look at them. So I want that so bad. And sometimes mum actually, or I cook myself, and we get that you have those whole dishes cooked in one pot. Slow cooked meats, everything is being cooked in that. And when you eat that, it is so satisfying.
Yes.
But I want to get into fats for a bit. And actually, there's actually a lot that we want to get into. We definitely will do a part 2. With the fats, healthy fats. I've started going down the path of really just utilizing olive oil, just extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil. Sometimes, I don't know where the hell we found walnut oil, grass-fed butter.
Yes.
Okay, ghee. All right. So then I asked my Indian colleagues at work, what do you guys cook? Do you use seed oils? No, we use ghee.
Yeah.
Okay. Because what I noticed was there's this one particular crushed capsicums in the Serbian culture, Macedonia. It's called avar. Okay.
Love it. I love that.
It is delicious.
Yes.
I would have that. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But then I'd have a bit more, and I'd have it the second day. So, and then after, I feel very dizzy.
Oh.
What's going on here? I'm getting really dizzy. I'm getting a lot of acid reflux from this. What's going on?
Yeah.
I finally turned over and I looked at the ingredients. So it's avar and a seed oil. Okay. But it's not the first instance. The other instance is, for example, if I go get some Persian feta in olive oil from the supermarket.
Yes.
Awesome. I'd sometimes drizzle some of that oil on my on the food that I'm eating. A little bit there, I'm okay. If I have a little bit more, I'm not feeling good anymore. I'm starting to feel the same dizziness, and I just feel like there's no energy in my body.
Yeah.
Look again, olive oil and seed oils.
Interesting.
Tuna.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm getting to.
Yep.
My body does not like seed oils at all. It does not like them.
And so they're trying to really hide them into everything these days. It's not so much just the seed oils, but the industrialized seed oils.
Yep.
Yeah, because there are some seed oils, and we've got to be careful with that. So seed oils like flaxseed oil, for example.
Okay, yep.
That is made, it's not an industrialized type of oil. So when we say industrialized, we mean like mass produced in, poor quality environment, using a lot of heat to press the oil out, basically because that makes it come out quicker, right? To sell more oil, for example. And these are the oils like the canola oils, some sunflower oils, for example, corn oils, a lot of the oils that we see in cottonseed oil, which is majority used in a lot of takeaway places, for example.
I know.
Because it's cheaper. It's cheaper to utilize. And, when we're buying foods, it's all about the buck at the end of the day. And so this is why I always say, when you are eating out, choose wisely. When you are choosing your product, just as you are doing, read the ingredients labels, because what these seed oils, these industrialized seed oils do is they can actually create inflammation in the body, and inflammation is the root cause of every single disease. And a lot of people don't realize that, the foods that we eat can basically create inflammation or exacerbate existing inflammation even more. And so, one of the ways that we can help reduce inflammation is avoiding these seed oils, but not just avoid them, but replace them. Make those healthy swaps. So it's not as hard for you to make that swap. It's not about completely depriving yourself, which is a lot of people think about, looking after their health and making healthy food choices is a deprivation. I can't eat good food anymore. But as you said, so my page, I try to advocate for healthy eating that's also delicious as well. And it's also about making those swaps. So, for example, replacing those seed oils with healthy oils, which are avocado, as you said. Ghee is tremendous, and it is very popular in the Indian culture.
It is so good for you.
It is. Even in the Middle Eastern culture, we use a lot of ghee.
Yes. We use a lot of fats. So in Serbian culture, they use a lot of animal fats, and they use a lot of pig fats as well.
Yes.
Okay, so any natural fat from an animal, I believe,
So with animal fat, we need to be careful about that because toxins in any animal, even humans, are stored in fat.
Of course.
And so when you are eating some kind of animal fat, make sure that the animal was organically raised, pasture raised, and wasn't injected with hormones.
I agree with you. So in saying that, and I know a lot of people are going to get a lot of value out of what I'm about to say right now. No, out of the whole podcast, but this is very important. So I found a butcher up in Blaxland, up in the mountains, and shout out to Finer Things. And I've asked him, I think it's Finest Things, doesn't matter. You'll find him. I'll get him on one day. But I asked him, your beef, he goes, grass-fed, grass-finished. He confirmed it. Pigs, that's a little bit more difficult because it's I think it's grass-fed or pasture-fed, but you have to feed them with grains and corn, in Australia. But you go down a route of GMO or non-GMO,
True.
So you go down the route of non-GMO. That for me is better than going down the route of feeding him GMO, genetically modified, because can our bodies break down GMO?
No.
Why is that?
Because, anything that's genetically modified, and this is, again, generally speaking, and actually it does come down to your genetics as well.
Yeah.
So, I'll explain that. But first, answering your question. So, basically our bodies are designed to break down things that are natural. We break down and absorb them with the enzymes, digestive enzymes that we have. And so anything that's sort of outside of nature, that's been genetically modified apart from nature, will be a lot more difficult for our body systems to break down and digest and absorb. And again, this is one of the contributing factors to the increase of disease today, because we are being so disconnected from nature, and more as time goes on. Within the genetic model that I was explaining, one of the areas that I look at with someone's genetics is how well they detoxify. So do they have the genes to detoxify genetically modified foods that have been sprayed in pesticides, which is, pretty much the norm these days, unless you're going out of your way to purchase or grow your own in your case.
Like the capsicums that I gave you today. We lose half of them to the possums and the pests, but what do you do?
Exactly. And so within the industrialized agricultural world, they do, in order for the buck, to save a buck or millions, to prevent the pests from eating them, they have to spray their crops. And that's how they make their money. They shoot them off to their Woolies and their Coles and their major supermarkets. Yeah. And that's what we consume today as consumers.
I was talking, so I have an eclectus parrot, and they only eat fruit and veg, and now it's oddly to have a bit of grain and stuff in there. From my vet was just he was sick for a little bit, and we took him to the vet, and he goes, "You need to start. We supplement." They supplement him because basically, even if you're giving them fruit and veg, here if they get it from the supermarket, it's not nutrient dense. When they were living in the wild, wherever they are, they're getting nutrient dense food. And you get everything from there now, and that's true. Like so basically, I'm not going to compare the apples that I grow in my yard to the apples that I'm buying from the supermarket. That's not fair to my trees that are fed. I'm giving them good nutrients. They're not sprayed, nothing, and I'm loving these. But you can't. How on what scale can you do that? But ultimately, I don't believe there's that many nutrient-dense foods around, especially in the fruit and veg world, because there's no. Is it Sadhguru or someone who talks about the soil? There was an Indian guru going around talking about.
There's so many these days. Even people like Dave Asprey, for example, who's another biohacker. And that's so true. And this is the reason before I was saying that I think everyone should be consuming magnesium in a supplemental form, because our soils are so depleted. Because what are we turning to? Our grandparents' days, for example, they were in different countries where they weren't eating industrialized types of agricultural produce. It was grown in nutrient-dense soil, and that flows through to the vegetable, the fruit, and then you actually taste.
Yeah, you do.
The taste is out of this world amazing. You taste the food that you're eating.
Let me know how those capsicums go, all right?
I can't wait to get into
Yeah.
those. Yeah. I'll make a nice recipe.
Oh, nice.
And, but you can actually taste the difference. And so today, this is another contributor to disease from a nutrition perspective, is that our soils are depleted of magnesium, selenium, which is a really potent antioxidant that can even prevent cancer.
Okay.
And, it can help with thyroid issues, for example. And like thyroiditis, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, is the most common autoimmune issue in the Western world today. And so, it stems from a lot of the foods that we're eating, the constant stress.
Yeah.
And so
Stress is a big killer.
Yeah,
Stress
and so
is bad.
we're constantly battling today the constant stress because of, the more money we have to make. Now we have to have two partners working to maintain a mortgage. And, we're turning to convenience foods. The convenience foods are depleted of nutrients because, they're cooked in seed oils and, they're nutritionally depleted because of the soil.
Yeah.
It's a vicious cycle.
I go to the cafe near our work. I tell them now, can you please cook whatever you're cooking for me in olive oil? Just please use olive oil. It's going to help just a little bit, but I'm trying to get it. It's the same as instead of paying tap and go, I pay cash, or I insert my card, I select savings and I put my PIN in. Trying to change that whole convenience, which is tap, which is just whatever you're making, give me that. No, I'm questioning and starting to ask things. And that's why I spoke to the butcher. Some butchers don't like that. They don't know. We just get it from where we get it from. But him, and he's got his own cows that he's raising on his own farm that he'll be bringing forward as well. And he's very conscious about that. But it's about asking that because I taste a difference.
Yeah.
I taste
in the meat.
I taste a massive difference. And when I've had a really good steak or a really good slow cooked beef ribs or something, whatever you're making, and it's from someone that's from a place that's ethically sourced, even feather and bone.
Yes.
Okay.
That's I get my meats from there.
They're very far away from me, and it's easy. And I used to go there, and look, it is more expensive, a lot more expensive. But what price you put on your health? But if you can start supplementing and making I reckon if you make at least one good dish a week as a start, just go and enjoy yourself. Do one good dish, one Saturday night, Sunday night, family, just splurge on that. See how you feel after, and then slowly start to incorporate that a bit more into your life because I don't think everyone can. Like a lot of families, like we might even ask Nick, young family here, or someone else down the road, like, can they afford these ones? But then I think it's just changes.
It is. And you know what? It's also portion sizes as well. I mean, again, a lot of us have been taught that you have to eat till you're stuffed.
I do it all the time. I do it all the time.
And that's actually not healthy. It's not healthy at all for your gut, for your digestion, and calorie-wise as well. So
one thing I've noticed is when I do a bit of a fast, so I'll go for about 20 hours. And I'm starving. I am hungry. I can literally feel things metabolizing in my body.
Yeah.
I'll go onto the barbecue. I'll cook a grass-fed steak. It's got good fat content on there. I even put a bit of not butter. I put a bit of fat as well on there from the butcher, the rendered fat.
Yes.
I can only eat half. And I'm full and I'm happy and I'm satisfied.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. Because you're feeding yourself a nutrient dense, because meat is full of nutrition.
Yes.
So full of your B vitamins, B12 specifically, zinc, iron, all these energy giving foods, nutrients, sorry. And you eat a small amount of it. And because it's so nutrient dense, it has the healthy fats in there as well because it's grass fed, grass finished.
Yes.
And you're actually doing your body such a service by doing that. Yeah. Again, if you add some garlic, some onions.
Oh, you have to. Antimicrobial. We're growing garlic as well. We'll bring you some.
So good. I would love that.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes, we
Thanks
will.
in advance.
I'll give you some as well, Nick, all right? And to the viewers that subscribe, if you don't subscribe, you're not getting garlic.
That's a great threat. I would be so threatened by that because I love garlic.
So delicious, so healthy for you.
Garlic is gold.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
My brother has a farm and he's...
In Oberon.
I'm
going to go see him because we go up there for when we go looking for mushrooms. Legit mushrooms, all right? The saffron milk caps, the ones that you can eat.
That's correct.
Yes.
That's correct. And they're actually, he was a friend of his was asking me the other day, it's actually the season
Yes,
now.
it's starting now.
And so, yeah, the saffron milk caps.
Oh, they're awesome. And slippery jacks as well.
And the slippery jacks.
Yeah, they're good.
Yes, stay away from the others.
Look, yeah, whatever. Do whatever you want, guys. Up to you. But you have to be careful of some mushrooms. You don't want to become like that lady down in Melbourne that fed the death caps to.
They're the red ones with the.
No, they're the flying agrics. They're a bit different. They're
your mushrooms. It's good.
Yeah, I've gone into mushrooms. The death caps they're the ones that can kill you. The flying agrics can make you really sick. But I'm not a mycologist, and I don't. Anyone that's listening to this, don't listen to what I'm saying. Just make sure when you're going out, if you want to go foraging for mushrooms, you go with someone that knows and is an expert, because there are ones that can do some harm to you.
Yeah.
The ones with the red dots, if you look at, that's where there's some people saying that's where the story of Santa Claus came.
Oh,
so they're ones that can also make you trip out. I've never taken them. I've never tried them.
Yeah.
But I've always been interested in mushrooms. Like, just popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
And then some of them get eaten, some of them don't. Mm-hmm. So you're like, okay, the ones that don't are obviously poisonous and the animals know. And then the ones that do, okay, I wonder what's that one like. But maybe us as humans can't process them.
Yeah, potentially. And that's what makes them poisonous. Yeah.
But then there's the other ones that some comedians that we know might have sold in a previous lifetime, and
the hallucinogen ones.
the hallucinogenic ones,
Yes.
But yeah, okay, your brother's farm.
Yeah, you're welcome to have a trip up there. He's there at the moment.
Lovely.
And yeah, we go mushroom foraging often, and especially at this time. It's fun. It's fun. And then actually cooking them and eating them, again, out of this world flavors, and especially those, because they're exposed to sunshine, natural sunshine, the wild mushrooms are quite high in vitamin D.
Yes, and also the actual system and network that it's actually growing in. That is very important. So it's a very healthy place. So when you go to Oberon, into the pine forest as well, just if you have like some type of respiratory issues or something, I've noticed if I'm sick and I've got a bad cough or a cold, I'll go there and I find it easier to breathe. And it starts to help that. So I don't know how that affects it, but I just know for myself it works.
Yeah, and exactly. That's why it's really important to do that forest bathing, so to speak.
It's good for you.
It's so good for you. You're escaping the smog of, the suburbs, and we don't realize it, but we're just covered in pollution.
That's why I live up in the mountains.
Yeah.
It's beautiful when you wake up in the morning. It's very crystal clear. I want to change pace a little bit because we didn't get into this. I want to understand a little bit about yourself and how you came into this journey of going so deeply into nutrition. Mm-hmm. So if you don't mind, I wouldn't mind going into a little bit about that, because I'm genuinely interested. Like, how did you get onto this path?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for asking. So I'm a clinical nutritionist specializing in gastrointestinal health.
Okay.
Specifically. And under that umbrella, because the gut is associated with every part of the body, but specifically I also specialize in skin and also autoimmune disease. And the reason I, came onto this journey was because I myself was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease at the age of 12 called Crohn's disease.
Oh, okay.
And that's an autoimmune disease of the gut or the gastrointestinal tract. And so from a very young age, I experienced the medical model and basically how allopathic medicine treats disease. And so basically in and out of hospitals from a very young age, given medications that basically when you have an autoimmune disease, it's all about suppressing your immune system with very strong medications, which in and of themselves create a lot of side effects. And of course, suppressing your immune system, which is your defender against disease and antibodies and all of these attackers coming in to create disease. When you suppress your immune system, you're leaving yourself vulnerable to any other issue coming along and creating even more disease potentially. Yeah. And so that was sort of like the yo-yo that I was on for a while is, remission, take medication, correct more symptoms. And so this is what a lot of people with autoimmune are generally exposed to, bouts of remissions and flares.
Yes.
And so when I got to the age of 18, I saw my lovely hairdresser, who's now become a really good friend, Mick. So he told me, go see my naturopath in Manly. He's an integrative doctor naturopath. And I did. And basically he changed my diet and changed my life, literally. So that was my first taste of how changing the foods that you eat can actually create health.
Yes.
And literally put me in remission for a very, very, very long time. And essentially, so that's basically what was the instigator for me to realize food has so much power. And so having this knowledge, how can I not share it with other people who are in need, who might be on the same, path in life? And that's what made me focus more on gut health issues, stemming from my own.
Yeah.
And autoimmune issues.
Do you find that there's how common are autoimmune issues in today's society? Like, do you see that there's quite a bit of it, or?
Well, yeah, they're really interestingly. Originally there were, not that many. There were the OGs, as I call them, which were like your rheumatoid arthritis, the Hashimoto's, Crohn's, MS. There's a good handful to about 20 or so that were very, very common. After the pandemic, interestingly, the number of autoimmune diseases has increased to over 100 different types.
Jesus.
Yeah, and so this is basically an autoimmune disease, for those who don't know, is basically the immunity within our body attacking itself. So it's attacking our own body. And again, this is a great interest of mine. So there's a Dr. Alessio Fasano, great Italian doctor, he's a gastroenterologist, and he has come up with an understanding of the autoimmune triad. So he has reckoned that there are 3 instigators for autoimmune disease.
Yeah.
And this is really interesting, and it's something that I'm very passionate about, obviously from my own personal perspective, but also because I'm commonly seeing it more and more and more in clinic, that autoimmune is on the increase. And this triad is all about things that can create autoimmune are 1, genetics.
Okay.
And this is why I do a lot of genetic testing on clients. Yeah. 2 is your gut microbiome. This is why I do a lot of gut microbiome testing on clients. And 3 is your environment and environmental stressors, environmental triggers. This can be trauma, PTSD, abuse, child trauma. Childhood trauma is really, really deep. And I know you've interviewed a lot of mindset coaches.
There's a couple of them, yeah.
And so this is where the holistic health model really comes into play, as opposed to the medical model, which is, again, a pill for an ill.
Yeah, gotcha.
And just really compartmentalizing disease. So you've got a gut issue. Let's just focus on your gut. But we don't look at how your gut is connected to your emotions. We don't look at how your gut is connected to your diet, to your microbiome, to your nervous system.
Yes.
These all come into play.
Yes.
And so as a clinical holistic practitioner, that's what I do. So I look at you as a whole.
Yes.
And that's done through an interview process. I spend more time with you than a general practitioner would, and try to really unravel and peel back the layers of what got you to where you are today, and how we can get to the root cause of your disease.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That really is amazing. It's really important. And I think a lot of us don't know that people like yourself exist, and that these modalities exist as well. One thing was, my mum was always saying to me, she goes, you need to go do a blood test. Someone can look at your bloods, and they'll be able to tell you like your food allergies. They'll be able to see like from that what's good for you, what's not good for you. It's not just simply like just your levels of vitamin D, this and that, and just take this pill, take that pill. Like people to actually integrate and go further and take everything and have a look to see what's going on and make a specified plan.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and so food sensitivity tests, as you mentioned, they're becoming more common. And that is, one of the reasons is because our food is pretty much not real food anymore. And so our bodies are reacting and becoming more sensitized to a lot of foods, especially children. Like these days, like back in the day, peanut allergies, they were non-existent. Now you can't actually take peanuts to school because so many kids are allergic to peanuts, for example. And so, it all begins in the gut. And that's where I start my investigations with clients. And, I'm actually involved right now in a pilot study. It's a pod pilot study, so the pods that I gave you
You know what?
today.
I'm going to try these pods.
Try it. Go ahead and try it. So this pilot study that I'm involved in, basically it's for people, there you go. So these are basically pods that help to increase the gut microbiome diversity.
These taste hectic.
Yeah, that's the purple brown one.
This is really delicious. What's in this? Please keep on talking about it.
There's actually more ingredients. There's over 200 compounds in there. It's made up of different kinds of
Black
superfoods.
tahini, green banana, raspberries, blueberries, goji berry, loganberries, cranberries, blackberries, all the berries.
Maca, lots of things in there to help boost testosterone and hormones, actually.
I can feel it working already. Pomegranate powder coat. This is really nice. This is delicious.
Yeah, so that's created by Mick, the pod man. Maybe someone you can get onto your podcast one day.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'll buy them. Actually, I'm going to buy them. I'll buy them off. It is delicious.
So on this pod pilot study, we're basically looking at people's gut microbiome and their genetics, and then giving them these pods for a consistent amount of time, and then retesting their gut microbiome and seeing a great difference and improvement in their gut diversity, in the numbers of healthy bacteria to poor bacteria, and we're seeing great improvements when people are consistent, and also, changing the foods that they're eating. So interesting, a lot of the clients who I see are into the biohacking type of movement. So they're really trying to promote longevity, anti-aging, and just general vitality, which is, most people today, we want to seek that vitality. And this is one of the ways where a busy person can incorporate a lot of nutrition into their diet without really thinking. Just pop a pod, for example.
I like that. That's good branding. Pop a pod. It's good.
Yeah, actually it is. I haven't even thought of it.
Yeah.
But that's what I do.
I'm trademarking it, buddy. What was his name?
Mick,
I'm trademarking that one.
Mick the pod man. That's what he calls himself.
Actually, that was delicious, and that actually took care of there's no sugar in there, or
None.
no added sugar, but it was so dense with chocolate from the cacao powder, and just the way it's put together, it's delicious.
It's all superfoods.
And that's really good for your gut microbiome as well.
Absolutely.
From the that's crazy.
And
that's
your mitochondria as well. So,
I was looking at your Instagram. Every single time you showed one of those, I could feel it in myself saying, I want to try that. I need to try that. It wasn't like that looks delicious. It's sort of like something there is looking very good.
There you go. So that was your cephalic digestion working, and that's basically your brain.
It's crazy.
Creating that almost, like you're salivating. You want to actually taste it.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's good. That's healthy. But there you go. You tried it.
Lovely. Thank you. Definitely we'll speak more about this, Mr. Mick the Podman. Now, also, you do a lot of genetic testing. So the way I was introduced to genetic testing was through Dr. Pediotia, watching stuff on Instagram, and with Mr. Thor, Chris Hemsworth, and also Gary Brecker talking about the motherfucker test or whatever they call it.
MCHFR, yes.
So I went down the path of getting those the methyl supplements. Yeah. I took them. I felt nothing.
Okay.
I felt like, this is going to, but I didn't feel too much. But what I did feel was vitamin B1 and vitamin B12.
Yes.
By themselves, especially B1 really helped to settle me, and I felt really good on them.
Okay.
So basically you offer from what I can see is you offer a genetic test.
Yes.
You do a consultation, you talk about them, and it helps. And what do you do from there? You help to see what you're deficient in, what you can process, what you can't process.
So ideally we look at your gut, your genetic test, but also your current blood test. And I also find out more about you, what your lifestyle is like, what your current eating is like. But essentially what the genetic test shows us is it's sort of like a blueprint for your health, for how you're made up, and basically how you're programmed in a way. So every gene marker that we look at, every gene can have something called a SNP, which is, so it's SNP, single nucleotide polymorphism. What that means in simple English is that particular gene may not be functioning as effectively as it should. And in cases as such, it can actually predispose you more to disease. And so Gary Brecker's always talking about the MTHFR gene. That is really central in something called the methylation process within the body. So just to simplify it, because, a lot of people, this isn't a medical podcast. So methylation is a really important process within the body to help us regenerate our cells, to help us regenerate our DNA, and essentially heal. It's really important to help with anxiety, depression, which is so prevalent these days. And so basically helping to modulate even detoxification within our body. It helps, healthy methylation helps with women who are wanting to fall pregnant, for example. It helps them make a healthy fetus and a healthy baby. It's really central in the human genome and ultimately within the human health and our body. And so what we find is very beneficial to help with methylation is the nutrients that help to support this process. And these are B2, vitamin B6, B12, and folate. And this particular process, the MTHFR gene specifically that Gary always talks about, helps us to metabolize folate. Now, folate is really important to help make neurotransmitters, to help prevent anxiety, for example. It helps us with hundreds and hundreds of processes within the body. And so when it's not functioning correctly, when you do have a SNP in this gene, that's when we start to see instances of, poor detoxification, instances of, when you say you have fatty liver, for example, automatically my mind went to, he must be a poor methylator within your genes. So I started to see patterns develop within people as well. There's also something like the COMT gene, COMT, which stands for catechol or methyltransferase. This basically helps us in the way that we metabolize neurotransmitters, our feel-good hormones, And people who have a SNP often in this gene are more predisposed to anxiety, depression, overthinking.
That's me.
Yeah. And so there are ways that we can help support this. So what the gene test does is it helps us to identify where your weaknesses are and where your strengths are genetically. And then prescribing a personalised diet with foods and supplements where needed to help you optimize your health.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, I took those supplements, didn't feel too much from methyl guard. So I'm thinking potentially, maybe I don't have an issue with methylation. Maybe I've got an issue somewhere else.
Potentially.
But we don't know.
You don't know.
Unless you do the genetic test. So, all right, take my money. Where can I sign up? No, we will definitely, I will definitely speak to you offline and I want to do it. And we'll see if we can come to that point, because every time I watch these podcasts and I have to review them, because Nick, he doesn't let me just do them. He wants me to watch them. Like, bro, I can't. I don't want to watch that. My second chin there flapping around. But I'm like, no, something's neat and something needs to happen. So I'm very hard on myself and I need to stop it. But the thing is, watching them progress and going down this path, I'll be able to see that progression as well, which would be very important, and others will be able to see that as well.
That'd be great, actually. To sort of use you as a case study.
Yeah, why not? But
if you're happy to share the information.
Yeah, I don't mind. I'm an open book. Everyone that knows me, I'm an open book, sometimes too open, all right? But it's okay. But one thing is, those pods, I feel amazing right now. Like, they just really satisfied me. They were great.
That's good.
So I'll get the details for Mr. Mick the Podman, and maybe we get him on here one day and we can have a chat about that. Now, we've talked about nutrition, all right? I want to give us the importance of good quality water,
Oh, yes.
Good quality water, because I don't drink tap water. I don't drink tap water. I drink fluoridated water. Oh, no.
No, you don't want fluoridated water.
Sorry, I drink unfluoridated water.
Yeah.
It's filtered. Or we have a natural spring up in the mountains that I go and drink from.
Amazing.
Okay. I'll do everything I possibly can to drink filtered water.
Yes.
I don't drink tap water. I don't like it. And I haven't for the last 7-8 years. Sometimes at work, I'm pretty sure that filter doesn't filter most things, and I have it.
And isn't it interesting that you can actually taste it? Once you've gone filter, you can't go back.
Yes.
Yeah.
So give us the importance of water, because I feel that that's, out of everything, that's probably the most important thing, because I've gone 4 days no food before.
Yeah.
But you can't go that long without water, and good quality water as well.
Agreed. 100% agree. So water, yeah, that is key. Water is life. Our body is made up of 80% water. And so it's important to replace it with quality water. And I think this is another instance today where we're seeing disease in the fact that our water, especially urbanized tap water, if we look at it under the microscope, it is full of microplastics, depending on where you live. From, old pipes, you have lead, you have copper, you have all these different types of bacteria. And in modern society today, we have fluoridated water. They throw fluoride in there, and also chlorine. So fluoride alone has been shown to be one of the causes. It's been correlated with dementia. And a lot of these cognitive declining diseases.
Yeah.
So fluoride is really important to clear out of your water.
Yeah.
And chlorine, I specialize in gut health. Chlorine can actually kill a lot of the gut microbiome, your healthy gut microbiome.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know that. And for me, when I found that out within my research, this was about 5 years ago, the effect that chlorine can have on your gut microbiome, because I'm doing all the right things. I'm spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on, the good probiotics, things like pods, doing all the things to maintain a healthy gut microbiome. And then I'm drinking, at the time it was just a normal filter that I had installed.
Okay.
But, if you don't have access to beautiful spring water like you do, a great filtration system that I think is imperative for everyone to have within their home, within their kitchen, is a reverse osmosis.
Reverse osmosis,
filter.
yes.
Yeah, that's the sort of creme de la creme of filtering systems available to us in modern suburbia. And so that basically, I have a 5-stage reverse osmosis filter. If you can get higher than that, even better. A lot of people will say it's not the cheapest, and it's true, they're not the cheapest. However, think of the investment into your health, and you're saving on medical bills and that sort of thing in the future.
A lot of the stuff that we're going down is not cheap for us, but it's sort of like you have to do small changes first. Just do small things.
Yeah.
Small things, and you eventually get there.
Within your capacity, and knowing that, you're investing in your health.
Yeah.
Which is important.
No, fantastic. So water is the most important. I think a lot of my stuff comes down to me being dehydrated and not drinking enough, and also putting good quality salts and sea salts like Celtic sea salt.
Absolutely, which is an essential electrolyte. So
Yes.
because our cells, in order to absorb the water and actually hydrate our cells, we do need those electrolytes to help shuttle it into the cell. So
fantastic.
And you have or coconut water as well.
Coconut water is really good as well.
It's a natural electrolyte.
Yes, and I had coffee as well, but that's okay. I'm going to top up with water after this. But Deena, I really appreciate you coming out to see us here in Penrith. I know we're like the furthest. You can't even throw a stick out this way. That's how far we are.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
It's your posts on Instagram that really, and also meeting all those years ago at the Tibetan sound healing that we went to. Lama Tenda, that's his name.
Okay.
Lama Tenda. Now I just remembered.
I was invited to that. A friend of mine invited me to that, so I didn't even know his
North
name,
Sydney.
to be honest.
It took me a while to remember all the fluoride that I had. What are your socials, or where can people find you?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Deena Jane Nutritionist, spelled D-E-E-N-A, Jane Nutritionist. And my website is DeenaJaneKelaita.com.
Okay. We'll put those links down there. I really appreciate you coming out. And I'm going to Thailand next week, so I'm going to have to try and dodge those seed oils and all the carbs while I'm over there.
Do try.
I will try. But I'll get a lot of sunshine on the beach.
I was going to say, most importantly, enjoy that sunshine,
Yes.
enjoy the ocean, and relax.
And
as well.
I'll book in a session with you when I come back. We'll have a chat and we'll go through that and we'll see what we come up with.
That'll be great.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. All right. Bye, everybody.